Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be analyzing the second and third stanzas of the poem and looking at a couple other things at the end. Hope you like it. Do you question the young in the sorrow? The second stanza starts with a question as well, and here the persona says, do you, while in the first stanza she said, do you. It seems the persona starts the second stanza with a harsher tone, might go as far to call it accusatory. Why their tears are falling so? A question within a question. The persona really wants the brothers to ponder long and hard over this problem. Also, do note the persona doesn't say brothers again. She just uses the second person pronoun you. Perhaps she's not only asking the brothers, perhaps she's asking the readers as well, since they aren't doing anything about this atrocity. The old man may weep for his tomorrow, which is lost in long ago. The old man's tomorrow may be a day without pain, a day with a bit of strength when he can get up from his seat and walk to an old friend's home, but this strength is lost in long ago, while the children are weeping since they never got to experience these things. The beauty of life for the old is lost in their youth. The beauty of life for the children will finally be achieved after their deaths in heaven. The next few examples seem to resonate with the children more than the ones given previously, creating an obviously ironical scenario. The old tree is leafless in the forest. The old year is ending in the frost. When the tree is leafless, it has lost the source of nutrition. It is subject to death in the near future, and with the old year ending in the frost, there's an obvious link made to the short lifespan of the child laborers due to the poor working conditions shown through forest and frost. The forest could show many child laborers and the frost could show the working conditions. The old wound, if stricken, is the sorest. This line could be taken literally and metaphorically. The old wound may be the childhood that has been snatched from the children. Striking could be the announcement of more work, leaving the wound sore. And of course, the literal meaning would be the beating the child laborers have to endure when they do something they weren't supposed to do, or vice versa. The old hope is hardest to be lost. What is the old hope? It could be the hope to break free from this torture by running away, as child laborers often do. It could be the hope of their employer changing. What else could the hope be? Write it down below. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Let's say not a single one of the things we came up with is the hope the persona is talking about. What could be the hope? A promise of heaven in the life after death. But the young children, oh my brothers. The repeated young could remind us these young children are taking the qualities of the old. The persona perhaps uses the brothers to create a sense of knowing that might allow the men to value her concerns and opinions. Do you ask them why they stand weeping sore before the bosoms of their mothers in our happy fatherland? When you're weeping, you're usually sitting or lying down, since that's when you lose strength and prefer focusing on your tears and emotions rather than physicalities. Here the children stand and weep sorely, so they are in their weakest form right now. We can also assume the brothers, presumably the employers and the men running the country, are sitting or lying down content, at peace. So they are not only being inconsiderate towards the children, but are also profiting off their suffering. One thing to notice is the children's mothers are doing nothing. Shouldn't they also be held accountable for the children's sufferings? You may say they have no choice, but that's not true. There's always a choice. No one is forcing you to send your children to work. Anyway, the happy fatherland may indicate the brothers are killing the leaders of tomorrow for a better today. They look up with their pale and sunken faces, and their looks are sad to see. My question to you is, what are they looking at? Are they looking up at the sky hoping for divine intervention? Are they looking up at the persona, or are they looking up at the brothers? Their pale and sunken faces reflect their past, present, and future. The sibilance creates a harsh tone, perhaps highlighting the persona's anguish towards these injustices. For the man's grief abhorrent, draws and presses down the cheeks of infancy. I'd like to assume the man to be the fathers of these children, and the grief, described as abhorrent, could be the misfortune of being born into poverty, leading to starvation and skeletal figures. Then comes a pause before the children speak. Perhaps this is to allow the readers to recollect themselves and brace themselves for the tragic dialogues to come. "Your old earth," they say, "is very dreary." For once we get to hear what the children have to say, and as expected, the children's perspective of the earth contrasts to the happy fatherland. "Our young feet," they say, "are very weak." Another obvious contrast is made through feet and weak, also highlighting the children have only learned to walk. Their bodies aren't strong or experienced enough to take on such laborious tasks. "Few paces have we taken, yet are weary. Our grave rest is very far to seek." The few paces are the few years they have lived that drained out all the strength these children once had. They are all accompanied by nothing but pain at this point. Grave rest is used as a pun here. Grave not only stands for something serious, but also a literal grave. It's interesting the kids exclaim, "very far to seek," when we know these kids will die early in their lives. Perhaps what they mean is that through the perspective of time, their rest is near, but in order to achieve that rest, they need to spend so much more time working and working, so it's the never-ending work that makes the rest seem so far away, hence they exclaim in exasperation. "Ask the old why they weep and not the children." When you grow older, you understand things more easily. You know why you're crying. You can articulate your feelings in a more precise manner. When you're young, on the other hand, you don't really understand the bigger picture. All you can see is your misery. Let me give you an example from Jude the Obscure. Don't worry, it's not a spoiler. I'm saying it in sort of a hidden manner so that those who don't know the story don't understand what I'm talking about while others do. Out of all the children, only the oldest one understands what's going on and does something about it. The other children, due to their naivety, just know bad things are happening to them. They don't know why or what can be done to put an end to these issues, while the oldest one analyzes the situation and does something about it. Similarly, you can't ask the children why they are weeping. They themselves can't give the reasoning behind it, whereas the old do know why they weep and how to overcome the problem. For the outside world is cold. There are two main things that affect a person, the environment and the society. So, the environment these children live in is hostile, while the society is unkind, leaving no source of comfort, and they are indeed completely in dark and cold. And we young ones stand without in our bewildering. Stand without what? Why haven't we been told what they stand without? So you can guess for yourself, I presume. They stand without warmth, love, comfort, pleasure, dreams, and so on. They only got to see the outside world, not the warmth inside a home. And the graves are for the old. They once more reinforce the lack of peace and comfort in their lives, the lack of rest as they keep working on and on like machines. Just a couple more things you might want to look into. The main themes I pulled out of the poem are suffering, youthful pleasures being snatched, old versus young, man versus nature, happiness versus sorrow, desperation and longing. You can go on. These are the main things the poem sheds light on. An interesting thing about the poem is that the use of the happy rhyme and rhythm contrasts to the dark subject matter. And when we finally get to hear the children, we hear them unanimously, so every child thinks and feels the same. Anyway, that's it for the analysis. Hope you liked it. If you did, do hit like to help the video spread to more people. Take care. Bye.